This is it. After almost 2 months of waiting because of the pandemic and the infamous delay, it is finally our time to go outside and watch the long anticipated Spider Man No Way Home. Woohoo! Look at that. It's my first time seeing our local cinema renovated into this RGB cinema. RGB, RGB, RGB. Pretty funny, not gonna lie, but also pretty cool. Anyway, a few minutes later, it is time. We're going inside down the hallway and seeing the seats all empty? Huh. I guess we're the first in line to enter, I guess, and I was right. People did show up a few minutes later. Go ahead, Aaron. Find our seats. Let's go. But other than that, I'll see y'all later. I'll just take a breath and enjoy this movie. Oh boy, I am ready. This movie is freaking awesome. So, yes, I was late to the party. This happened, and this happened, okay? Don't blame me on this. It was supposed to be my most anticipated movie of 2021, but then Sony delayed it for few weeks and then it reached until January 8, 2022, which I am furious about. So it became my most anticipated movie of 2022. So I can definitely say now that this is the best movie I've ever seen this year. Alright, before I talk about No Way Home as its own, I might need to talk about Tom Holland's Spider-Man trilogy for now, because his first solo outings, Homecoming and Far From Home, they're all alright movies. I mean, they're good, but not as big as No Way Home, but they're all good on its own. You wanna know the one thing that they lack, in my opinion? Rewatch value. Like, I know there is a lot of good moments from those two movies. I just can't see myself watching them ever again, not by a long shot. Another element that they lack is the lack of stakes. Sure, Vulture is a good villain. Mysterio is better than Vulture, but I cannot seem to fathom how I cannot see the stakes. Like, I'm not enjoying myself because I'm not thrilled to see the final battles of those two movies. But that doesn't mean that I do not like them. It's just that I know they are good. I don't want to watch them because I can't see myself going to again. But then No Way Home came out, and I could definitely say that I really want to watch this again on theater. But we're not going to. We're just gonna watch it on home release again and again and again and again, because this movie has stakes, a lot more of it actually, and it has more rewatch value than those two previous movies combined. Alright, let me give you a little bit of a plot synopsis. With Spider-Man's identity now revealed, the friendly neighborhood web slinger is unmasked and no longer able to separate his normal life as Peter Parker from the high stakes of being a superhero. When Peter asks for help from Doctor Strange, the stakes become even more dangerous, forcing him to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man. We'll get to that last part later. So let's talk about the good things about this movie, because there is a lot of them. Let's start with the villains. Oh my gosh, they range from good to absolutely amazing. Let's start with the good ones first. Lizard and Sandman. Forgettable, but they service the film. They're fine. Electro here is a little bit better than what Jamie Foxx did in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. He did reprise his role here, by the way, which, yeah, he did better here. And now we're down to the greatest two, because I want to talk about them a lot. Let's first talk about Dr. Octopus, or Doc Ock. He was amazing here, and oh my gosh, it was great to see Alfred Molina back as Dr. Octavius again, because he was really great in the movie. When he first showed up, I had the biggest smile on my face, and it will get bigger later because I heard his theme play, his original theme song, by the way, and I was happy. And the fight scenes he had with Spider-Man, that was absolutely well choreographed. And now let's go to Green Goblin, or Norman Osborn, played by Willem Dafoe. Oh my gosh, he was absolutely terrifying. He was already doing great in his first outing from the first Spider-Man movie back in 2002, but he was absolutely better here. Like, I'm having chills down my spine when he laughed out loud when Peter keeps punching him in the face. He was just smiling creepily. Now, I can definitely say this. Green Goblin is one of my favorite MCU villains of all time, right beside Thanos. He was that scary. The fact that he killed Aunt May in this movie is so menacing of him. Ooh. And let's talk about the score, because I like the score. They brought back the original themes from the characters from other universes, like Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Electro. More specifically, these three villains. Oh, we'll get to the other three later. You know what I mean? Michael Giacchino, make me proud. Make that Batman score great. And I've seen some reviewers who reviewed Spider-Man No Way Home, and they didn't really appreciate this one thing that I really liked. And I know that they are not Filipino, but I am. And Ned's Lola is absolutely hilarious. From that one scene, her Lola stole the show for me because she is absolutely hilarious to me, and I cannot... The way she expresses her anger is just like, ay, nagkalat ka na naman. You've made another mess again, you weirdos. I'ma go ahead and sleep. Bye-bye. That's not what she said. She didn't speak English fully. She speaks Tagalog, and I really like that. And speaking of that one scene, that is also the one scene which took me by surprise. And I might be partly lying about that because I've seen the leaks, I've seen the spoilers accidentally, and I don't know if that's my fault or it's anyone's fault. I don't even know. But, this guy is back. And also Tobey Maguire. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are back. The truth is, I kinda did know that they were going to be back, seeing as the villains from the other universes came back as well. But it still took me by surprise because they still nailed their roles. Matter of fact, I think I like Andrew Garfield more in this movie because he was definitely acting his butt off. He was definitely redeemed here. You want to know why I feel like he's been redeemed here? Remember what happened in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, where his love of his life, Gwen Stacy, died? Well, from the climax of the movie, when the shield of the Statue of Liberty fell off and the scaffolding went to the ground, MJ fell off. Tom Holland tried to save her, but then the Green Goblin catched her, and then Andrew Garfield swooped and then saved MJ. And then, oh my god, I really do appreciate Andrew Garfield's acting here, because when MJ asked, is he okay? He cried, because I feel like that, oh my god, okay, oh, okay, thank god I saved her. Peter, not gonna live the life that I've been through. I think that's what I felt when Andrew Garfield cried. It was genuinely a wholesome moment. And don't worry, I'm not gonna just ignore Tobey Maguire, because he is absolutely great in this movie as well. He was now presented as like a mature old man, as you can see from his different appearance as from his last appearance from Spider-Man 3. And he learned a lot from that huge gap of Spider-Man movies that he had been in. Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man No Way Home. And the one quote that stuck into my mind, things have worked out with MJ. That gave me reassurance that Toby and her MJ are doing alright during that huge gap, because I don't want to see him suffer anymore from those 3 films that he has been in. I want my boys to be happy, man. And yeah, I felt happy that Toby is alright. I'm happy that Andrew Garfield is alright. He redeemed himself by saving Tom Holland's MJ. And by the way, we haven't talked about Tom Holland's Spider-Man yet, because this is the most Peter Parker, the most Spider-Man that I've ever seen Tom Holland act in the whole trilogy so far. Yeah, he was definitely better from the acting perspective and from the character perspective. I think he suffered a lot for this film, and he sacrificed a lot for his friends and to save the world, and I think he needed that suffering. And that doesn't mean that I'm a bad guy, is that I wanted to see him grow. And when his Aunt May died, that was like the lowest point that he has ever been in. And when his confronted by the two Spider-Man, they shared a little bit of a moment together, sharing their past tragedies and to comfort him to saying that you're not the only one who's suffering. Let's save the world together. And the final fight between the three Spider-Man and all the villains except Doc Ock, of course, because thank God they didn't ruin him in this movie. It was genuinely a good moment. And you know what I remembered most from that final fight? The fight between Tom Holland and Green Goblin and his sacrifice. Because you know Tom Spidey is very, very angry at Green Goblin right now, and he really wanted to kill him right then and there. I mean, if you all have already watched that scene, he brutally punched him and punched him and punched him and punched him again and again and again. It was brutal for Tom Holland. I've never seen that amount of anger from Tom Holland before, and he absolutely nailed it. Mwah. And when Tom Holland reaching for Green Goblin's glider, about to stab him, Tobey Maguire came and then just prevents him from stabbing Norman Osborn because he knows that he's been through that before and he doesn't want Tom's Peter to go through that as well, because that is not at its core who Spider-Man and Peter Parker is. And then the sacrifice happened. I almost want to cry, but it is generally a sad moment. I felt something there. When Peter asked Doctor Strange to make everyone forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, or more specifically, make everyone forget that Peter Parker exists, he said his final goodbyes to all of his friends, to the other two Spider-Man, and to Doctor Strange. And it was sad and heartbreaking that he won't be able to spend time with MJ and Ned Leeds again, and he is about to go on his own alone. I mean, look at the freaking ending. He was on an apartment, he was broke, and there's no more Stark Tech on him. He created his own suit by hand, and he did the final swing. It was tragic, but also what Spider-Man really is. And that was also the second time when it ended, when the credits rolled, I clapped at a freaking theater. You nailed it, guys. You nailed it. You nailed it. You nailed the movie, yeah. So a little bit of minor things that I like as well. The interactions between Tobey Maguire and Garfield and Tom Holland are pretty genuinely sweet. And the interactions between Tom Holland's Peter, MJ, and Ned Leeds are also a little bit more better than the previous two movies that he's been in. The action is well choreographed. I like the scene between Doc Ock and Peter, the fight there on the bridge, and the apartment scene, which is absolutely dangerous because Green Goblin was there. And the final fight, again, top notch. Well, as for the things that I didn't like, well, there were a few, but that didn't take me out of the film and didn't destroy my enjoyment of this film, because I still like this film. So the comedy on some areas are a little bit off, a little bit iffy, and yet the pacing can be a little bit slow, but that's on just the 1/3 of the movie. The 2/3 of the movie are just absolutely great. Okay? So I guess that's basically the problems that I have. And they're very, very minor, mind you. So I left the theater satisfied that they handled the villains well, they handled Andrew Garfield's and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man well, and they handled the ending well. And they handled Tom Holland's Peter well. Much, much better than the two home movies that Tom Holland has been. And yes, is this a great conclusion to the home trilogy? Yes. So to those who haven't seen it, go watch it. Or if you don't want to stay safe, fine, you can wait it on a home release. I don't know what the release date for that is. And as for me, here's the thing. Let's talk about the title of this video, okay? Why did I ever think that this is the last MCU movie that I'll ever watch? Well, mainly because after Avengers Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home, I think I'm done with this franchise. All of the Marvel projects from Phase 4 didn't really interest me. Black Widow, fine, but I don't want to see any more of Black Widow, seeing that she died in Avengers Endgame. Shang-Chi didn't really interest me. Eternals, maybe, but just to see if it's actually as bad as people say. And the other Disney Plus shows that they have, I don't have time for them, and I'm not really interested in them as well. The only good thing that came out of Phase 4 is Spider-Man No Way Home, which I did watch, And yes, this might be my last MCU movie that I will ever see. Because Spider-Man might be my last character that I'm invested in. Because all of the characters that I'm invested in from the Infinity Saga have their own conclusions, and I think I'm satisfied with all of them. And Spider-Man had the only conclusion yet that I'm willing to witness. And it happened. I think I'm fully committed to be done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, DC, do your best with the Batman, okay? So if you like this video, you could go ahead and leave a like and then comment down below what you want to see more of next, and subscribe and turn on the notifications bell if you don't want to miss out on any of my future content. The socials are in the description. The other movies that I reviewed are in the description below as well. And yeah, I'ma head out and see you in the next video. Peace, guys.